Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Highlands, May 19th, 2021, regular meeting. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk, all on January 1st, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now call roll. Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Here.
Councilmember Melnick?
Here.
Council President Oshesky? Here. Mayor Brion?
Here.
We have no approval of minutes for tonight. Next, we have 3 ordinances for public hearing and final adoption. The first is O-2117, refunding bond ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the Atlantic Highlands Sewage Authority sewer bonds, Series 2011, assumed by the borough on April 1st, 2014, appropriating an amount not exceeding $2,750,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2,750,000 general obligation refunding bonds of the Borough of Highlands for financing the cost thereof. Oh, actually, we were going to
I
skip
was
that
going to
one.
say, we were
weren't
going to, you just went right into it, but
Yeah.
we're actually waiting for Pat. He's on his way. Mr. de Blasio,
I get in
our
my
CFO.
groove.
So why don't we go to the next one, and then we can jump in when Pat gets here.
Okay. So the first one we're going to start with is O-2118, an ordinance amending Chapter 2-5.8 of Borough Code with regard to issuance of bingo and raffle licenses.
Just talk a little bit about this one. It came to our attention just as an oversight that the state law says that we could, the council can make its own ordinance so that people can draw raffles and have a bingo game on Sundays. It was one of these antiquated laws that you're not allowed to do anything on Sundays. So we just wanted to update that in case a charity event was going to go off, or if somebody wanted to do something on a Sunday, that we could now do so. With that, does anyone from the council have anything else that they'd like to add?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. Then I will open it up if there are any questions from the public regarding this ordinance. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public portion. And with that, I'll offer this.
I'll second. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky? Yes. Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance has passed on second and final reading.
Well, now we're going to have to go over to the refunding bond ordinance and read it.
Yes.
Sure.
The next one is O-2117, refunding bond ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the Atlantic Highlands Sewage Authority sewer bonds, Series 2011, assumed by the borough on April 1st, 2014, appropriating an amount not exceeding $2,750,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2,750,000 general obligation refunding bonds of the Borough of Highlands for financing the cost thereof.
Mike, can you please speak to this before we open it up?
Yeah, this is a requirement from the state. In order to adopt our budget, there was a community disaster loan that was done back in, where are we at?
No, this is the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sewer
I'm
authority.
sorry. This is the refinance one. I apologize. Yes, there was an opportunity to refinance this bond because of the rates right now that are so low. So it's actually about a savings of about $400,000 to the borough. So that's why we're doing this.
Does anyone on the council have any questions or statements regarding this refunding bond ordinance?
No, thank you.
Okay, and then with that, I'll open this to the public. And seeing that nobody wishes to speak to this ordinance, I will close the public portion. And I will offer this ordinance.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshetsky?
Yes.
Mayor Briand?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on second and final reading. The last ordinance we have for public hearing and final adoption is O-2119, bond ordinance providing for the construction of a new municipal building, appropriating $10 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 4,750,000 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof authorized in and by the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey.
This is based on conversations with FEMA that we had a few weeks ago that were very lengthy. There is actually upwards of about $5 million that we are entitled to. So at this point, there is all of the requested information that they have from the architect and from everything that went on prior towards the building of the new building. We feel that we can issue this bond ordinance now.
And just to confirm that, once we have this ordinance in place, then we can finally go out to bid. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bond ordinance from anyone at the table? No? Okay, then with that, I will open up this one for public comments. Sir?
Frank Nolan, 65 Stone Carver. Are we guaranteed the $5 million from FEMA? I know you gotta do certain, obviously, criteria you gotta hit. Is there anything that we realistically couldn't do that they would not convert that into a $5 million? In other words, would we lose it for penalties like not hitting paperwork or not doing things a certain way they wanted in construction or anything like that? Or are you pretty confident we're gonna get the $5 million?
I mean, we're fairly confident, but I'll let Mr. Muscello.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
from the conversations we had with them, and I'm working with the New Jersey State Police with their OEM, and they're walking me through everything with this. They've been unbelievably helpful with it. They've requested certain information. I've received it from the architects and from the engineers, and at this point, I'm just uploading it into the system, and we're going to have several meetings to go over everything.
The only reason I'm asking is not the lack of confidence in anybody here. I've read a lot of articles, not just in New Jersey, where other disasters, they guaranteed X amount of dollars and then they backed off. And the towns or the counties really weren't sure what they did wrong, but in the end, it was non-forgivable, and then they wind up having to bond more, obviously, at the last minute, and that makes everybody look bad. That's the only reason I'm asking.
Right.
Thank you.
Than't you.
Want me to pass it around? I was told that I didn't want. No, I just got tested.
Does anyone else have any questions or statements that you'd like to make?
Clara Dorigo, 12 C Drift. Where are we on the $2 million that you're supposed to be getting forgiven so that you can borrow this $5 million?
Are you referring to the CDL loan?
Yes.
That one?
Yes, I am.
There's
Because if
actually,
that loan, please clarify that that loan was a grant that was then converted to a loan that we are paying back, according to what Pat said last meeting.
yes,
So now you're assuming, and I've worked a lot with FEMA, and you're assuming that you're going to get $5 million that's going to be a gift that's never going to turn into a loan again. And the history of FEMA with that is not true.
okay. I can just go off the conversations I've had with them. They won't give me a guarantee for anything, but they're confident in this, and that's pretty much what I can say about it.
So there's no guarantee.
No.
It's a lot of money.
Michelle Debo, 221 Navesink Avenue. So if it's not guaranteed, then we are expected to pay it back through tax money? Yes. And you all live in Highlands. And I would think most of us all live in Highlands. No? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think we all want to pay that $5 million on a handshake? I'd say it should be in writing. And any person would know that you get it in writing.
I did bring that up with them, and they told me that they didn't do that. I can definitely bring it up with them again and see what I can do and report back at the next meeting.
It's what the people want to know.
Okay.
We're going to be paying over and above that other money, but yet you're going to take on a handshake that, oh, we won't have to pay $5 million back? Think about it. It's a lot of money.
Understood.
Yep.
We are having the hearing on the budget, if you would like to, if you have any question on that? On the bond ordinance, sorry, not the budget. The bond ordinance for Borough Hall. If no one else has any questions?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Yep, you can go right up to the podium. You just have to state your name and address. Thank you.
Melissa Peterson, 17 Bay. So we're up to 10 million right now for cost, correct? Approximately?
Correct. It's actually a little more. It's about 11.
Okay. Does that include the increase in steel costs or increase in lumber costs?
It actually is built in from the architect. There's escalators to account for that.
So
So that's built in.
built into the, okay, because I don't understand how they would actually have knowledge back a couple of years ago, what would happen this past year as far as pricing going up.
There, as part of the architect's cost analysis, we're adding in extra money for an escalator in case we have to pay additional. So there's a 5%.
So is
limit.
there a sliding scale, so is there a cap on that? So do we know for a fact we're not going to pay more than like 15 million or 12.5 million
Well, there's a cap on what we appropriate for this now.
for now? And
Yeah.
how much is that? Is that 10?
It is, let me put my glasses back on. It is 10 million right now.
It's
Yes.
10 million. My only comment is that I think that's extremely high for a town of our size. We're very small. We've kind of been in a unique situation where we've been forced into certain, shared services because of Sandy, court being one of them. And I'll use Seabright as an example. Seabright does not have their own court system. They kind of realized the future and kind of decided, we're just not going to build it in, and we're to try to save money, and we're just going to use Oceanport. And I think it's short-sighted to say we're building for 70 years in the future, because none of us have crystal balls. None of us have any idea what's going to happen. None of us could have predicted Sandy. None of us could have predicted the coronavirus. None of us could have predicted a lot of stuff that have happened within the last 10 years. And to adamantly say, well, I'm doing this for 70 years in the future, I think is extremely short-sighted. I think we need to think about the taxpayers. And quite honestly, for Mr. Martin, it is an election year for you, and people are going to be paying attention on what you're supporting and what you're not supporting. And we need to consider your constituents, and consider your tax base, and consider this cost, which I think it is exorbitant. You guys have been spending a lot of money this year. Confidential executive assistants, I know we haven't hired one yet, to my knowledge, paying for signs that we shouldn't have had to, paying for additional personnel on top of an expensive borough administrator that costs us a lot more than what the last one did. We're spending a hell of a lot of money, and it needs to stop somewhere. So I'm asking you, before you blanketly go with the 10 million, to either table it and come back and try to come up with something more reasonable, or just don't vote on it at all. Thank you.
I was gonna say, why don't you have your hands up first, sir?
I don't want to go again before someone else goes first. I've had questions for Pat.
Tim Skorka, Short Drive. I just want to reiterate what Melissa Peterson said. I have been watching the budget since Sandy. I watched the trends. I watched the spending go up. Your tax rates are stable or going down this year. The borough is collecting more tax dollars. Your taxes are going down because Harborside at Hudson Ferry is coming on the tax rolls. In 3 more years, that's going to stop, and you're going to watch your tax rate jack up. Because not only are you not having more ratables, you're also going to have to pay for the bonds on the Borough Hall and for the capital projects that are installed over here in the lower Ninth Ward. We're still waiting for new sewer and sanitary lines. We're still waiting for the flooding to be fixed over here. And on top of that, you're going to have a $10 million Borough Hall, which is probably going to end up closer to 15 once the construction cost is finalized.
Frank Nolan, 65 Slim Harbor. How much do we have into it so far? I haven't paid attention, so, a couple of years, which probably my fault, but I had a question for Pat, too, if I could. I don't want to jump here, I know you just walked in the door, but, we know about the $2 million that FEMA had granted us that they now became a loan that we're, liable for. We know that the Borough Hall, we're bonding 10 and probably closer to 11. We know that, the professionals put percentages in when there's going to be escalators. Typically, they go 5 to 7%. We know the lumber and steel in some cases has gone up 27%, so that's not going to cover that. So we already know we're probably $1 million or $2 million over than what we're bonding tonight, plus the $2 million they reneged on that was a grant, and now it's become a loan that we have to pay. You remember, there was a lot I know that we went through up here after Sandy, but how much other stuff did they say they were going to do, and then in the end, it's funny, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking millions and millions of dollars. It's probably going to be closer to 20 when all is said and done with the loan that the grant that they made into a loan, whatever we have into it already, and whatever unforeseen things, which always happens, no fault of nobody in any project, right? So I would say, as a group, I think you got to think twice about doing it. I mean, it's been 10 years next October, and it seems like it's a long time, and it is, but I think we would rather go into it with our eyes wide open than on promises of people or organizations that already reneged on us multiple times, right or wrong, Pat? Multiple times since Sandy hit. So there's millions of dollars not related to Borough Hall that we were supposed to get, didn't get, and turned into loans instead of grants, and percentages changed and things like that. This is just the beginning. If I'm wrong, please tell me.
No, the only comment I have to make there, Pat de Blasio, is that we did the CDL loan. It was about $2 million of our current fund, about $300,000 for our sewer utility fund. So now we got permission from the state of New Jersey, the DCA, that we can go ahead and bond that over a 10-year period. We're still fighting like hell.
So it's not a grant anymore is my point, right?
That's correct. Right. Yeah.
And how much do you think ballpark we have into it so far? I mean, including the purchase of the land and things like that. I know that was a while ago, but.
Well, I think our numbers are 12 or 13 million for the whole thing, and I know we had already did a bond there, 2 or 3 million. You got that?
There was a bond done several years ago that covered for the architect and whatnot. There's still a little under $2 million left in that. I believe it's close to 1.9 million.
So kind of putting it all together, we're probably definitely north of 15 with the escalators, the pricing, and everything else.
Well, right now, Mayor, we're prepared to do 13 million of it.
Gotcha. Okay. So again, guys, as a group, they've already reneged on multiple promises to the town, multiple times. And you could, if you look on any website, which, you got to take it for a grain of salt, but they're known to do this. And in the end, you're going to bond the money, thinking you're going to get the money back. You're going to be halfway through it or done completely, and then you're going to find out you got to bond more because they're not going to come through. And that just happens over and over again, and it's not political. They really don't care. They just do it to everybody. So I would caution you to think about it before bonding tonight, because you're going to wind up, or the next group of people up here are going to wind up bonding millions more. Thank you.
Shelby Gold, 221 Navesink Avenue. I have a question specifically for each council member. Have you thought of the impact on every family in town when you think about this? And do you run your house with a budget that's well over your affordability? And what would happen to you if you did? Because that's what you're doing to us. You're forcing us by voting for this, when it's really not what we want or probably what we need. I understand that the plans were done, possibly not by you, but some of you were on the council at the time. But when people are sitting here and saying to you that this is not affordable for the citizens, I feel like you're disregarding everyone. Search your heart and ask yourself, do you go over your budget by 100 or 300,000 a year? Do you spend that when you're responsible? You are voting to make us responsible for that bill. And it's very unfair for you to do it. No matter what you want, if the people don't want it, you've got to rethink the project. And I ask every one of you to search in your mind and think about how you spend your money when you earn it. This is our money that you're spending. We pay the taxes. You also contribute to the taxes. But can you afford, do you have unavailable funds? And do you overspend on your budget for your house? And look us in the eye and say yes, and then maybe we might consider. But right now, I don't see anyone jumping for joy. And I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
So I'm going to speak on behalf of myself as a taxpayer. My name is Rob Burton. I live at 22 Atlantic Street. I'm also going to speak as the chief of police. I'm going to use the term misinformation. The last 2 days I've gotten a dozen phone calls. And the term misinformation has been used very frequently. And there's a lot of misinformation about Borough Hall. And I understand that because people haven't seen the actual working drawings of Borough Hall. Everybody's talking about shared service, and I understand that. We're talking about the courtroom. That seems to be a big issue. What we have to think about is not a courtroom. It's a meeting room. And to give you an example, Linda, if you don't mind me using you as an example, picture this. My seat right there, across that row, only to where the owner of Off the Hook, Nick, is sitting, to Linda Mazzola. That is the size of that meeting room. That's how small it is. This isn't an elaborate building. The borough trailers right now, and I would encourage anybody, when we talk about trailers, and maybe I'm a little selfish in this, okay? Maybe I am, because I want to go into a nice office every day, okay? Please, all of you tomorrow, when the sun is shining, come to my trailer. Smell the cat urine from underneath my trailer. Go to Borough Hall in the wintertime, when the clerk has to put a space heater by her feet, okay? These employees deserve a building. My employees deserve a building. Okay, we're not asking for anything elaborate. This building is extremely small, ladies and gentlemen. Extremely small.
It's a little bit more than 7,000 square feet per floor, and there are 2 floors. So that's not a large space. I know.
So as an example, when I use this as an example, the borough trailer right now that the borough's operating is 100 feet long. Trailers. This building is only 120 feet. There's one bathroom in the borough trailer. Male, female, visitors, guests, everyone. So now you have to add a male, female bathroom, And then if they add bathrooms outside for the public in the hallway, there's your extra 20 feet. It's a little bit wider. And everybody, I know people want a library, and I understand that, okay? And I'm not saying that I don't. And the Mayor O'Neill is here, and he was instrumental in shrinking this down to try to make it affordable for us, because I'm a taxpayer also. Okay, but don't buy into this misinformation. Get informed, okay? I had a conversation with someone yesterday, said, I didn't know this. I'm glad that I talked to you because I had no idea about this. There is zero wasted space in this building. We're mandated by the Administrative Office of the Courts, by the Juvenile Justice Commission, and by the Department of Corrections. They mandate certain things. Other than that, there's nothing elaborate here. There's nothing lavish. They're small offices. That's all there is. There's no storage space. We were given a box to work in and to make the best of that box, and we tried that. And that's what we did. And I understand it. Believe me, I understand tax dollars, okay? And I pay taxes as well. My family lives here. My kids grew up here. My sisters grew up here. My whole family. So I understand what you're talking about, but please don't think that this is some big project. We talk about $10 million. That's the cost of doing business. The architect told us every year we wait $560,000 more. Mr. de Blasio is a professional. The administrator is a professional. They hire professionals. The architect has let this into the price. They know. He's done multiple projects. He's got projects going on all over the place. He knows what the costs are. He's prepared for that. He's preparing our municipal government for that, to tell them this is what to anticipate. And we don't think that they're lying. There seems to be a conspiracy about people lying and everyone saying that this isn't the truth. And Frank, I'm not talking about FEMA because we know that that's, that could be what it is.
I think you all deserve a new building too. I just don't want to pay $15 million on a bond of 10.
Right? And to be honest,
It's not going to be 10. It's going to be 15.
One at a time, everyone,
Yeah.
one at a time. Everyone gets
so
a
I'm just giving
chance.
my 2 cents, okay? If anybody wants to talk to me, talk about it, see what actually there is going into this, please feel free to reach out to me. It was recently said that someone thought that they couldn't reach out to me. Please do so. I have a lot of time vested in this building, a lot of meetings with the architects, a lot of changing plans to try to maximize the space. A lot of time. I want to see these employees have a nice place to go to. I want to see Highlands be proud of a building. And that's the bottom line. I'm all about Highlands. And this is something we need to be proud of. And that is the reality. A friend of mine is working on the Middletown Municipal Building right now. He told me it's $110 a sheet of plywood to go on the place. That's the cost. This is construction. And I know 10 million sounds like a lot, and it's, for some people, it's hard to understand. But it's reality.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Just to finish up on something that the chief was saying about, people have said it's extravagant or elaborate. Absolutely everything that was in our old Borough Hall, for those of you that lived here that actually went to that Borough Hall, is going to be in this Borough Hall. There's one office that is additional, and that's the Office of OEM, which you should have emergency management out of the flood zone. That's the only office that has been added to this Borough Hall, other than administration, police department, code enforcement, all of those other things that were in our old Borough Hall, including the meeting room.
Sure. And if you want a comparison, Atlantic Highlands Building is 96 by 134. Our building is 120 by 65. The building's 14 feet bigger, 30 feet wider than ours. That's a lot of square footage. Their meeting room is 10 feet bigger than ours. If you go in their meeting room, it's small, and it's 10 feet bigger than ours. Just as a comparison. Thank you.
Claudette Dorigo, 12 Cedar. No one's arguing that we need a borough hall. What we're saying is that we don't need 3 jail cells. We do not need 3 additional bathrooms. We do not need a courtroom, a judge's chambers, bathroom for the judge. When we are already doing shared services and the state is moving in the direction of forcing towns to do shared service. If you do not do a shared service in this manner, you're going to be forced one way or the other to do a shared service, because that is what the state is mandating. That is the direction the state is moving in. So we are already sharing a courtroom and jail cells with another town. Eliminate that. We're not saying take away from the offices. We're not saying take away from the police department. What we're saying is we don't need something that we're already doing with another town put in our municipal building at a cost to us.
Go ahead.
The building is 4 times the size of
If you could just say your name and address for the record again,
I
sorry.
didn't have to do it every time.
It's just so the
Okay,
clerk
Michelle
can get
Duval,
capture it all.
221 Navesink Avenue. The building is 4 times the size of our old Borough Hall. That means every bill goes up 4 times, 3 times more plus the 1. The cost of even running the building is going to be absorbent to the whole community. And I would be the first one to say that our policemen deserve every bit of the space that they need for their offices. If there's a possibility of shared services with the courtroom, and that works out better for everyone, why not entertain that idea? Our court meets once or twice a month for 3 hours, maybe on those 2 days, 3 days. That's all it's used for. It's a lot of money.
As the chief was saying, it's not just for that, it's also for land use meetings, it's for any other type of hearing, it's for council meetings, it's for all sorts of different things. It
I
could be used.
understand that it can be used for multi-things,
Yeah.
but I've never seen a courtroom used for all those multi-services.
It was in our last Borough Hall, it was used for all of those services.
Yeah, many times it wasn't, though. Maybe when you were here, but I've been here a long time.
Okay.
Okay? And therefore, I just think that the cost, everyone keeps saying 10 million. Okay, 10 million might be swallowable, but 15 to 20 million is where it's going to go. We all know that plywood is up. My husband's in the building trade. We all know that you're paying triple to 4 times, and half the time you can't get it. What are we going to do when we get a building half started? And you can't get the materials. Oh, there's going to be a guarantee. It's a handshake guarantee. They can't get what they can't get. And then we'll be in la-la land with the building, half done. I think you really need to consider what you're voting for. And it seems like everyone has their mind made up, but you're not listening to the people. And yes, I think what Rob said was fabulous, and I do think the police deserve it. But at the cost for everyone in the town, some people still haven't even dug their way out of Sandy. Or they left the town. So I think you still need to reconsider it. And I know there's a lot of things that are mandated as far as the chambers for the judge and the different things, the back door that he has to come in. Those are all added things, so maybe shared services is something that we can table it for and consider. And
Thank you.
Hey, folks, Martin Kiley. So,
Martin, your address, please.
pick one. Ocean View Terrace, Highland Avenue, Fifth Street.
Just one so that the clerk can have a record of it.
Okay. B5 Ocean View Terrace. Obviously, I pay a lot of taxes in this town.
Mhm.
Could you tell me what the percentage of the building is in relationship to the entire space?
The space by space, do you
I'm
mean
sorry,
the
the
land?
boundaries of the property lines and the building within it. Does the building occupy 25% of the space and the rest is for parking? Does it occupy 50? How much space does the building itself occupy to that section of land?
I would say it's probably about 50%, and then there's parking lot, and there's, yeah.
So about 50%, right? So my questions are very simple. We do, a quick aside here. Chief, when you send someone who's been arrested to Atlantic Highlands, as an example, do you have to pay that police department to house and feed that prisoner?
No disrespect to you, sir, but Mayor, I don't want to get in a back and forth.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, no, that's fine, that's fine.
Because I brought up, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I don't house other people's prisoners, and they won't house mine. When you arrest somebody, a lot of times they have medical issues. They don't want to go to jail, they want to go to hospital. So Atlantic, we house our own prisoners.
That's my
We have
point.
no prisoners in Atlantic Highlands, nobody houses prisoners with us. If they have an issue, we will house their prisoners, they have to send an officer to watch that prisoner. Because if they're gonna go to the hospital, those officers are taking them, my officers aren't going on all the time. And vice versa. If we house a prisoner in Atlantic Highlands for any reason, I use the breathalyzer machine, sometimes our goes down, theirs goes down, we go there, they come here, things like that. We have to have somebody watching the prisoner in their facility, vice versa.
So the point to that is the cost factor could be exorbitant if we don't have what we need. So, having said that, and the size being 50%, and this has been a pet peeve of mine for a very long time. When everybody was impacted by Sandy, where did we go to get help? Freehold. There are no county services in this area at all. Has anybody explored the possibility of sharing services and costs with the county? Can we go up another floor and put a floor in for county services and have them pick up a piece of the cost, like 50% of the building, which would relieve us of some? Has any of that been explored? Has there been any exploration, since parking is so tight in this town, about doing some kind of shared service in a public-private partnership where someone could put a parking structure in there, lease the spaces out to people, especially in the summertime, and the city derive a benefit from land that would be empty except for a car being parked there? To the best of my knowledge, I don't think anybody has explored these. So my question to you is, before you vote on this, I ask you to explore the possibilities of using this most precious land to our benefit. Now, we all heard all of the promises from FEMA time and time again. They begged the school system to borrow $200,000 that was supposed to be a forgiven loan so that the municipal tax rate would not be impacted. And there's been no action on any of that. So we can't rely on FEMA. So as taxpayers, we have to rely on you, our city fathers and mothers, to reach out to the county, to the state, to the federal government. If you go to every single municipality in the South that has been impacted, you'll see that county and state buildings were built in every one of those venues with state and federal funds that allowed the municipalities to use those buildings. We don't have that, and I don't understand why. No one has even entertained the thought. I mean, where are all of our state buildings and our county buildings? They're certainly not here. There was one in Atlantic Highlands for a long time that took care of essential services for certain people, and that evaporated. So has anybody on this council, rhetorical question, has anybody on this council even thought about the possibility of getting funding by maybe even expanding the building and bringing in partners, whether they be public or private? We don't have enough, what do we call it, office, commercial space? Has there been any exploration about going into any kind of public partnership with the floor and parking for law firms, for a medical office, for anything that services the community and has a separate entrance, meaning the back door instead of the front door? I mean, there has to be a way to use the building to the betterment of the city and not the detriment. And right now, I mean, the cost factors are going through the roof, not through your fault. I'm buying sheet rock. I was paying $6. Now I'm paying almost $12. I understand. But what I don't understand is exploring other financial opportunities or possibilities that could offset some of our costs. Thank you.
Thank you. And Martin, just to answer some of what you were saying, is that through the various areas of redevelopment that we're at the moment negotiating with developers, there are contributions that can be made to offset some of the costs of the building. We haven't discussed, you have to realize this has gone through 3 mayors and 3 councils, and the 3 mayors are sitting right here in this room, and 3 other councils have been working on this for, well, more than 3 councils, if you think about all the turnover that's gone on since 2012. There's a lot of bodies that have thrown a lot of, mind power, crunching numbers, scaling things down, trying not to let things just get out of control. But to speak about private-public partnerships, absolutely, talking to people all the time about that. And hopefully with these areas of redevelopment, we're going to get some sort of contribution from these developers to help offset costs. Just to say that things have been thought about, we are working on every angle that we can look at.
That should be in addition to what that land and the building on it could be actually built for, instead of just...
I get what you're saying. Please.
Kim Skorka, Short Drive. I'm sorry, I forgot this question earlier. For the last 2 council meetings, I've been asking about the state, DCA, doing the study of our police department and to see if we could be more efficient and reduce our costs. I don't know if we could be more efficient. We're pretty good at that. But to reduce our costs. Last meeting I was told, I have to talk to the chief of police. Have we talked to the state yet? Are they coming in to do this study? Because if the state comes in and says, you're better off merging with somebody else, and we, as a town, decide, yeah, that's a good idea, and we don't need the 3 holding cells, or we don't need the courtroom, can we at least delay it until the state does their study?
Can you confirm whether or not that was ever set up with DCA?
I haven't been able to confirm it yet. I did speak with the chief, as you requested, and I guess at one point there was a meeting about that with Seabright, and I don't think there was any interest on their part at the time to do it. But I am trying to find out from DCA. I believe the previous administrator may have submitted a letter or paperwork to them, and I'm trying to locate the paperwork.
Okay. I can get you the name of the guy in the DCA if you want. I have it in my email. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Pizzullo. I live at 115 Highland Avenue. I would like to just mention that to Chief Burton that no one is discounting that you guys need a new spot or the Borough Hall. But as, I don't know the woman's name, but being on a budget, we are personally looking to our future. So is this 10 million, expenditure going to increase 7% of our taxes for 10 years? Is it going to be 7% for the first 3 years and then goes up more? I don't know, but we, as working on a budget and trying to see where we're going to go in the future, because as you can see, I'm not that young, and the earning power declines after a certain point, and we're not going to be able to afford the taxes. So just, if you could just table it, just listen to some other people, try to figure out something else. Costs are going up because there's a glut, but they will go down, and that's just the way it is. So just, maybe not a lot, but it's not going to be as difficult as it is right now. So just, hold on, if you can, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to this issue?
Hi there, Ed Allegra, 62 Highland Avenue. I've lived in this town for a few years. I've never been to a meeting. This is my first time, and I'm just listening to everybody talk, and it sounds to me as, not to say an impartial observer, but a taxpayer who pays a lot of money in taxes, who owns a business here, that the majority of the people that are talking don't want this to go through the way you guys want it to go through. And these are the people that are concerned enough to be here tonight. And I think these are the people that you should listen to. And of course, Martin made some good points. Some of these ladies came up and made some very good points. The chief made some good points, but I think there may be another way that these folks, that everybody can put their heads together and come up with. But it seems to me if you start building and expanding, tax rates tend to always go up. And everybody's strapped for cash these days. I know I am. It's not cheap living in New Jersey. It's not cheap living in Highlands. It's not cheap living anywhere. So you're going to build a nice building. I understand that. It costs a lot of money. But these folks are concerned. They're here because they're concerned. And I think they're making some very good points. Nobody's shooting from the hip or running their mouths. They're really concerned about what y'all want to do. I think it should be considered, because that's what the point of this meeting is. That's government works for the people. So, and I'm an attorney. That's, you guys work for these people, you know? So these people are paying their taxes so that you can do what they want you to do for them. That's the whole point. I see a lot of people nodding their heads. So, I mean, that's my assessment of the situation, and I'd like to see that as a taxpayer. We want to have our voices heard. You hear all this stuff on the news, and at the federal level and the state level, we got to have some control. We got to have some accountability at some point, some level. We've got to be able to feel like we're not just throwing money into a pit. And it would be very nice, I think, if everybody would, you know, take a pause, as the lady said in the back there, and really consider this. I mean, and again, I think it would go a long way for the people in this meeting to say, you know what, you folks really do care about what's being said, because I'm hearing a lot of pushback, too, from the representatives. So, yeah, I think if people are coming, if the vast majority of people coming forward here are saying, don't do it, red flags, we don't like it, we don't want it, at the very least, you got to consider that. And you got to hold back and say, okay, well, maybe we're not going to just punch this home. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else coming up to the podium, I will close public portion. Pat, I think you had worked out the average household yearly amount?
Yes, Mayor. So we did have a town hall going over all the numbers, and the initial projections were that the tax rate was projected to go up 7.7 cents, which is kind of high. And knowing that this ordinance now has gotten reduced with the projected FEMA proceeds, we're projecting that to be cut in half to about 4 cents. Now, mind you, the budget just got cut 1 cent in 2021. So that comes out to be, it'd be under $100 for sure per year. And the question was brought up, is that on top of every year? So it wouldn't be a 4 cent increase every single year. Once the 4 cent increase is in place, then the budgets just roll forward. So that's the projections, you know. We're hoping, I know Mayor Nolan had mentioned about getting all those funds in. We were on some phone calls, and, you know, they pretty much, with the manager and the mayor, pretty much assured us that that money was coming in. But Mayor, I know you've been through a lot there. But right now we have to go through those motions of what they were telling us, right, Mike? So it's about $90 to $100 to the average homeowner at this point.
Does anyone at the table have any questions or any comment that they would like to add? No? No? Do I have a motion?
Can the public comment?
The public's...
No?
I closed the public comment.
I know, the public comment on the amount of money being spent. You're saying it drops down to 4%.
No. If, I was just saying, the public hearing is closed and there was no 4%, it was 4 cents per $100 of your value. That's what he said.
Yes, and if we don't get it, it goes back up to the higher price. We don't get the FEMA money.
Yes.
So, I have a comment now, or
There
a
you go.
question. Pat, if you don't mind, the calculation you just gave us is assuming that we will be given the money from FEMA. If we are not given the money from FEMA, can you please tell us what the actual cost would be per household?
Yep, the first set of projections were that we were going to get $1.6 million from FEMA, so we had based our projections on that. That would be 7.7 cents. That's about $184 on average. Yeah, that's where we're at. We believe that we're going to be getting more than that in, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll put a motion forward.
Okay. A motion from Mr. Melnick.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
I have something to say real quick. So, first and foremost, one of the things that jumped out to me regarding Borough Hall was my first time meeting with Chief Burton and going into their police station, which I know it's hard to believe, but I'm bigger than the entire building. I don't know how they operate out of it, and as close as I am to a lot of those cops, they are good people operating under very strange circumstances. At the same time, as a son of a veteran, as a person who lost 3 to 4 members of my family in Hurricane Katrina, I have a weird distrust for FEMA. It is something that I've had with me since Hurricane Katrina. It's something that I've always carried with me. Part of me wants to believe that they're going to come through with their money, but as said, I think that was Martin back there and Mr. Nolan, they've not always been good about their word. That is literally the only thing that kind of throws me off throughout this entire process. I believe the town needs a borough hall. I believe we should not be operating out of trailers. I believe that police officers who protect the hell out of us should not be operating out of a trailer with one bathroom that the cops share with criminals. At the same time, I don't trust FEMA. I'll be very honest with you. I'll be blunt. And when I ran for this position, with the people in line. I ran for this position for the people that I hang out with, eat, and drink with every single day. And I would be incredibly remiss to not be surprised about how many people were here today. They're clearly concerned, and they would go against everything that I've said I'm running for. So because of that, I'm going to say no. And it's because I want what's best for the town, but I also want the town to believe in something and not necessarily think, you know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, there's a lot of all this other stuff. I just feel like I'd rather have majority of the people on the side of this, even if it's good for the town, I'd rather them be on the side of this at least 50% than to sit here and kind of watch a lot of people that I hang out with and drink with and eat with and walk past and speak to not be on board at least somewhat. So I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Mazzola?
I've been in support of this building almost for the past 3 years. Most of the plans were complete before I actually was elected, and that was the previous design of the building. We then voted to put some more funds into the building and rework it so it fit into the character of the town and all of that. I firmly believe that we do need a municipal building. We all have some wonderful services that these employees provide to us every day. We have a wonderful police force, and they deserve a home, and they need a home. They cannot continue to operate in those trailers any longer. However, I also do not trust FEMA. The first thing that I asked Mike when he called me and told me this is so great, and, FEMA has decided to, and they, made it very clear, we're getting $5 million. The first thing I said was, do we have this in writing? And unfortunately, the response was, no, they don't, they don't do that. They don't want to do that. And I'm a businesswoman, and I help run a business every single day and have for 18-plus years, and that's a red flag to me. So I support the building, but I would really rather wait until we have concrete evidence that FEMA is going to give us this $5 million. And once we have that, I would be in full support of funding the building. So I'm voting no.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
I vote yes, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm a person of a certain age, too. I think we've had 3 mortgages, at least in our lives, and if I think harder, maybe it's 4. And, yeah, a mortgage is scary, but it's a plan for a future. And if it is $185, tell me you've never gone out to dinner with friends and picked up the tab and it was $185. I don't think that's exorbitant, and you might think it is, but when you look at what we do for the people who do everything for us, I don't think $185, if it is worst case scenario, or $100 more a year. And the other thing that I would point out is take a ride up and down the streets of Highlands and look at all the new development that's there. Those are very pricey houses. I spent a good bit of time working with our tax assessor, and they're going to be paying some pretty high taxes on those houses, which will help offset for everybody else. Well, this is spending, this isn't spending for something frivolous. This is spending for something this town's been chasing for 10 years and not been able to pull off before. So for that reason, I vote yes.
Mayor Brion?
I'll also vote yes. It's been a long time, and as the architect says, every year that we delay, it just gets more expensive. So that is my vote of yes.
Michelle, ordinance fails before it has to be adopted by.
I'm sorry.
2/3 of the full membership of the governing body, thus requiring 4 affirmative votes, so it fails.
So this ordinance has not passed on second and final reading. Next, we have 7 ordinances for introduction. The first is O-2120, an ordinance amending Chapter 4-2 of the Borough Code concerning the licensing of peddlers, hawkers, and vendors.
This was just to update this ordinance. It was quite antiquated, and specifically geared towards, food vendors. It didn't allow for, any type of service vendor. Like I know there's an outfit that runs around from town to town that sharpens knives or offers, other different, there's a pet groomer, that's in 2 towns over, just things like that. So we wanted a chance to have some of these service-oriented businesses as well as food-oriented businesses have a chance to grow, join this growing revolution of a mobile vendor. So that's why we are making the updates to this one. And with that, I will offer it.
I'll second it. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing date set for June 2nd, 2021. The next ordinance is O-2121, an ordinance amending the land use provisions of the Borough Code to address prohibited and conditional uses for cannabis establishments.
This ordinance and the next ones, the next 2, actually, I think it is, they all have to go together. in order to update different sections of the Borough Code. And with that, I will offer 2121.
Second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
My vote is not based on judgment of anyone who wants to utilize cannabis or does utilize cannabis, and my vote has nothing to do with should it have been legalized or should it not have been legalized. My vote is strictly about and for Highlands, and because we are primarily a residential business district. I mean, we can call it the central business district all we want. The truth is that that business district is probably 85% residential. And with that being said, I cannot support the sale of cannabis next to residents' homes. I'm not comfortable with that. If we had strictly a full highway area, I know we have a very small area of our business district on Route 36, but it's very small. But if we were structured something more like Middletown, where we had large strip malls on Route 36 and whatnot, and vast areas where people's domiciles would not be affected by the sale of cannabis, I would have a different opinion right now. So with that being said, I mean, my fellow council people, they absolutely know how I feel. We've had several sessions in executive, and I haven't been quiet about it.
Absolutely, and nor should you.
My vote is absolutely no, not for Highlands.
Councilmember Melnick?
I voted to repeal this months ago. I continue to support this in Highlands, so I vote yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Briand?
Yes.
This ordinance is passed on first reading with public hearing date set for July 14th, 2021.
It will be transmitted to the land use board.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
It will be transmitted to the Land Use Board for consistency and master plan.
The next ordinance is O-2122, an ordinance creating Section 4-18 of the Borough Code regarding cannabis retailer licensing requirements.
I'll offer that as well.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Briand?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for July 14th, 2021. Next is O-2123, an ordinance amending Article 17 Business and Waterfront Zone Districts, Section 21-91, Central Business District, CBD, and Section 21-9201, Highway-Oriented Business.
I will offer that as well.
Second.
Is that Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Briand?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for July 14th, 2021.
And this will also be transmitted to the land use board. for the report recommendation.
Next, we have O-2124, an ordinance repealing Section 7-3.8 of the Borough Code regarding residents-only permit parking on certain streets.
I offered to put this on here because we tried doing permit parking in this area back in 2017, and then we tried to amend it to try to fix issues back in 2019. And then after discussions with the chief of police, we are going to repeal it. So I will offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Briand?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for June 2nd, 2021. Next is O-2125, an ordinance repealing Section 7.38A of the Borough Code regarding temporary permit parking for residents during Washington Avenue reconstruction project.
This ordinance I found by mistake while looking at the other resident parking ordinance, and this dates back to 2007, when there were repairs going on down there, and it's from 2007, and it doesn't really apply. So I was just trying to clean up some ordinances, as we've been doing for the majority of this year's, bringing things up to date, bringing things into the 21st century. So if it's an ordinance on the books that's not applicable anymore, we're going to look to either update it or change it or repeal it. And with that, I will offer it.
Also,
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing date set for June 2nd, 2021. The last ordinance we have is O-2126, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Schedule 1, no parking of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to areas of no parking in various locations throughout the borough.
I'm actually going to ask that we table this. The chief is still working on some sections, so when we have it ready, it'll come back.
There's a motion to table.
Yes, motion to table.
Second?
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Okay. The motion to table this ordinance to June 2nd, 2021 has passed.
Does that include Highland Avenue?
We've tabled it. We've tabled it. No action. Yes. You got it.
Next item on the agenda is resolutions. The first is R-21-120, a resolution authorizing payment of bills.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R-21-121, a resolution appointing a firefighter.
I'll offer that.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R-21-122, a resolution approving shared service agreement with Monmouth County for Mod 4 Property Assessment Computer Services.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Who's that, Councilmember Melnick?
Melnick.
Thank you. It's hard to hear with the masks. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion to adopt. Next, we have R-21-123, a resolution authorizing a place-to-place transfer extension of premise of liquor license 1317-33-022-10.
I will offer that.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Before voting, are all questions regarding parking resolved with this one? Yes, okay, so yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R-21-124, a resolution authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional planning services for the preparation of the midpoint review and annual monitoring report required by the Fair Housing Act.
And I will offer that.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R-21-125, a resolution authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement between the Borough of Highlands and the Highlands Board of Education.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshowski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R-21-126, a resolution authorizing the Land Use Board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine to NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec, and superseding prior resolutions 20-225 and 2162.
This is going to also have to get tabled. The redevelopment attorney has to make some tweaks to this as well. So I will offer to
A motion to table?
Motion to table.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Okay, motion to table to June 2nd is adopted. R 21-127, a resolution accepting donation of personal flotation devices.
This is for a very generous Twin Lights Marina donated some personal flotation devices over to the rec center to help out while the kids are swimming and to help with the junior swim class. So that was a really nice community spirit of the businesses working with the borough and the residents. So well done to them, and with that, I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. The last resolution we have is R 21-128, a resolution to amend the 2021 municipal budget.
Patrick, you're going to read the
Yes.
line item.
Yes, I take that off for a second.
And if you could just briefly explain why we had to make this amendment?
Sure, Mayor. So the administrator and myself and the auditor, we went in front of the local finance board last Wednesday, and that was to have our $2.3 million CDL loan be repaid back over a 10-year period. We wouldn't be borrowing that money until 2024, if we even have to, if we can't get it forgiven. So in 2024, if we issued the debt then, the first payment would be due in 2025. So they approved us, the local finance board approved this, but they said, but you have to amend your budget. We want the first year payment included in the 2021 budget. But we have no one to pay. That money would be simply set aside and put on a shelf until the first payment comes due. So that's the requirement of this budget, of this budget amendment, so I recommend that we do that, and I have to read it in full. So with that, Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and read it.
Please do.
It says here, resolution amend the 2021 budget, whereas the calendar year 2021 budget was approved on the 7th day of April 2021, and whereas the public hearing on said budget was held as advertised, and whereas it is deemed and is desired to amend said approved budget, now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Highlands, County of Monmouth, that the following amendments to the approved calendar year 2021 budget be made. Anticipated revenues surplus anticipated from $1,500,000. It goes to $1,832,608.34. The total surplus are the same numbers I just read. Number 5, subtotal general revenues, items 1, 2, 3, and 4. It goes from $3,342,952.23, and it goes to $3,675,560.57. The total revenues, the total general revenues total from $11,975,711.84, and it goes to $12,308,320.18. Just bear with me. Current fund appropriations, general appropriations, municipal debt services excluded from caps. CDL loan repayment, principal goes from 0, and it goes to $266,086.67. The interest on the CDL goes from 0 to $66,521.67. The total municipal debt service that's excluded from caps goes from $1,160,008.06, and that goes to $1,492,616.40. Item H2, total general appropriations for municipal purposes excluded from caps. That total goes from $2,730,401.29, and it goes to $3,063,009.63. Item O, total general appropriations excluded from caps, the same numbers I just read. Item L, subtotal general appropriations, items H-1 and O. It goes from $10,875,711.84, and it goes to $11,208,320.18. And number 9, the total general appropriations go from 11,975,711.84, and that goes to 12,308,320.18. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be filed forthwith in the Office of the Director of Division of Local Government Services for certification of the calendar year 2021 budget so amended. Be it further resolved that the complete amendment in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 40A 4-9 be published in the Asbury Park Press in the issue of May 27, 2021, and that the publication contain notice of public hearing on said amendment to be held at the Robert D. Wilson Community Center, 22 Snug Harbor Avenue, Highlands, New Jersey, on June 2nd, 2021, at 8:00 p.m. This will not impact the tax rate at all.
Thank you for that, Pat. I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. There is no other business tonight. Next item on agenda is reports.
This was a second meeting, so there really should just be the committee reports, but is there any sort of update that you want to give briefly, Mr. Muscello, Mr. Valesi?
I have just something very briefly.
Okay, go right ahead.
I wanted to advise the council that with regard to your sanitary sewer program, the phase 1, we've completed the preliminary plans and we're going to be submitting them to the I-Bank for review. At that point, we wait for comments from them. We then finalize the plans and we're targeting a mid-July date and advertise it for bid. Just wanted to bring that to date on that.
And how long will that bid process generally take?
Generally, when we advertise it, we're looking for about a month to receive bids, and then we would review the bids, do a report to the committee, or to the council, and then at that point, you're in a position to award. Funding will be in place. You have an ordinance in place already. We're targeting our amount to match that, so you should be in good shape with that. And then from that point, we go out for construction.
And how long from when, you said in July, we're going to go out to bid, so that means August we'll have bids back, then we'll award, and then how long will it take to mobilize and actually get this project started?
From the time that you award, the contractor gets his paperwork together, it takes about a month. We have a pre-construction meeting. And then at that point, we've given them an allocation of about 300 days to complete the project.
So phase 1, if I'm not mistaken, is Linden, Ralph, William, Waterwitch, all of that above Shore Drive and Bay?
Yeah, Linden,
And then below is the entirety of Bay Avenue,
yes.
as well as, I guess it's Ocean Central.
Beach, Route.
Oh, Beach Boulevard, right.
West North Street, Route Street, and Williams Street.
Right, so that section of North Street, that, just for the people to understand, is not the section that was done a few years ago, but the section that's over closer to where the municipal office is. That needs some love over there. Thank you, sir.
Basically, just an update. I had a monthly call with FEMA this morning for reimbursements for a tropical storm Isaias from last year. It looks like we're going to get about $37,000 in reimbursement for costs.
Very good. Committee reports, who would like to start?
I'll start. I'll cover communication, shade tree, and then open space. So as far as communication, so the website, we've got some draft wireframes updated to bring consistency for the look and feel of the 3 major sites or major areas of the sites. Council meetings, land use, and committees, that's what's getting the most traffic based on Google Analytics, so that's where we're going to focus our efforts in 21. We're looking to focus on fewer clicks, bringing the agenda, the minutes, and all of the meeting information into a single tabular view as opposed to having to go to multiple locations to pull all that information together for a given user. That work will go through 21 is the majority of the development for the site, along with the content updates that we'll be making throughout the year. So we've been also making content updates through the website, correcting dead links, outdated information, some business information that was missing. All that's been updated on the site, and feel free to check that out. Happy to see and get more feedback from the population who's been using the site. We're also been working on the municipal project section of the site. If you had been in the site recently, the majority of the data associated with projects is either coming soon or just missing in general. We've removed some of the projects that have been old and outdated or completed, updated with actual information for the projects that are ongoing and active. We'll continue to update those throughout the year. From a social media perspective, we've now got access to all the free social media accounts. So we had our Facebook access, but then we recently retrieved our credentials for Instagram and Twitter. So now that we've got consistent messaging across all those different channels, so that the goal here is to have a referral back to the authoritative source. So we'll drag in traffic from the social media channels, but then funnel it back to the website for more detailed information for the users to come and get. We're also using Bitly to drive and track the traffic so that we can tell where the majority of the users are coming from, whether it's Facebook, direct links, or other social media channels. As far as our increases across all those, from Instagram, we're up 16% in total users since 4/24 when we got those credentials. That's a nice little bump for a few weeks of work. Twitter, we're up 518% in total profile visits. Impressions are up 1,600%, almost 1,700%, which means how much our traffic shows up in somebody's newsfeed. From Facebook, we've increased our reach by 64% month over month. Page views are up 91%, and page likes are up 334% month over month.
Well done.
And so while we've got other areas of improvement that are non-digital, we have the website is the focus because it's the lowest cost option in order to get the message out. But we also have an interest in leveraging the road signs that are out there. We've seen them, the traffic signs that you see, advertising events within Highlands, maybe additional messaging there to drive more information to folks who are not really digital savvy. Also considering a mailing because some folks actually like tangible documents in their hands in order to get engaged. We also have outreach from the committee. Sheila Weinstock from the committee is reaching out to all the different clubs and organizations because it's free publicity. We want to make sure that all those clubs that are out there, whether it's the Lions Club, the Boys and Girls Club, or the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Garden Club, all of those who have events that we would use our social media and our website to publicize their events as well. That's it for communications. For Shade Tree, Arbor Day submissions, we're looking to improve that process. There was a lot of work that went in from Christian effort. At the end, the tail end of the submission period, we're looking to make that a little easier by tracking the spend from the DPW over the course of the year so that submission's a lot easier. As far as the plantings along Bay, we know that there's about 14, maybe 15 dead spots in terms of trees that had been planted as part of the streetscaping that have died. We talked about it in our most recent committee. Those two varieties that were part of that planting, the Eastern Redbuds and Japanese Tree Lilac, are the two varieties that are saltwater resistant and should take hold. Christian's opinion, our shade tree commissioner, thinks that the loss of 14 trees is not that bad, but I think that we still want to revisit, when do we plant those again for those dead spots. The recommendation has come back that maybe the summer is not the best time, so that the heat is coming up. It's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow. Maybe we wait until the fall for that replanting in order for those to take hold and so that we don't have them just plant and then die out again. The thought is that the damage from the individuals walking, breaking off limbs, causing disease to the trees might have contributed to the deaths of those 14 trees that are out there. Also potential damage from cars. So in terms of looking for additional root cause, it seems like just routine wear and tear has led to the deaths of those trees. So we'll have to be mindful of that with the new plantings. And as far as the last item on the recommendations there is that for the summer months, to make sure that we've got as much as we can work with the DPW to get the proper overhead clearance on the roadways, 14 feet. It's more difficult, obviously, up the hill where it's more trees than it is downtown, but that's one of the goals for Shade Tree for the remainder of the summer. Lastly, for open space, the borough website, like I said, has been updated to reflect the grant money that we've got allocated to veterans, Huddies, Snug Harbor, parks. So not only is the data that we had shared in the last meeting out there on the site, also some of the images of the equipment that's going to be there, so that folks can get familiar with the changes that are coming. Recent inspection of Green Acres looked out for Snug Harbor as well as veterans. Had some call to action regarding the remediation of cracks in the basketball court. Mike, I know that you're looking into addressing those with the DPW so that those Green Acres spaces are well maintained. Members of the open space, Bruce Kudash, Laurie Salka, also participated in the Pride of Highlands Day, handing out seed packets and a brief write-up of the functions of the Open Space Committee, hopefully driving up interest in those committees because we always could use more interest, especially on the Open Space Committee. And then lastly, the Open Space Committee is going to meet again on the 26th, discuss the updated ROSI as well as reconsideration of previously identified projects such as Huddy Park and potentially the Overlook Park on 36. That is all.
Okay. Yes, I have some wonderful news about Highland Elementary School and the fabulous program they're running this summer. They went out and they got a federal to state elementary and secondary school emergency, this is a mouthful, relief fund, an ESSER grant, which was established to address the impact COVID-19 has had and continues to have on elementary and secondary schools across the nation. So, the K through 5 grades will assemble for 3 weeks, 4 days a week. They will come to the elementary school in the mornings for 2 hours where they will do STEAM projects. So that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. In addition, there will be wonderful assemblies, including a Harlem Wizards assembly with Jack Ryan, the Rizzo's Wildlife Assembly, a Skate for Life assembly, and a Wacky Science assembly. The remaining days will include 30 minutes of organized play-based activities designed to enhance the social and emotional skill sets of our learners. And remember what these kids have been through this year. So the chance to come into the school and learn as a group, and also to do social activities together to bind for the beginning school year coming is a really wonderful thing. And it gets better because through great link with Jackie Kane, they have linked these kids with the rec department. So when they're done doing this, and they'll have breakfast as part of the grant, that's free, they'll have breakfast, then they'll be taken down to the community center where they'll have lunch, and in addition, they'll have supervised play for the afternoon. So for kids who have really been through a tough year, to have this opportunity is really cool. So many applauds to Principal Layton, who really went out, found the grant, and put this together, and the teachers involved will have regular planning sessions so that it's not just a, let's get together kind of thing, but it will be thoughtful lessons to help the kids. So I think it's really cool.
Excellent.
And for the environmental committee, so they met on Monday after there were some scheduling issues in between. I actually had to teach late, so tomorrow I'll be sitting with Steve to kind of catch up on what they have. They already are in the process of sending me the minutes, so I'll be able to hand them over to Don and hopefully get those up on the site.
Excellent. The administrator and I, as well as the superintendent of public works, had a meeting with Sporn Ranch. They're builders of skate parks, and we've been asking for a couple of different quotes from different folks who specialize in the concrete poured parks. We are also going after a brand new grant that's new to the DCA. It's not the DCA, it's the DEP, sorry. And it's called an Urban Parks Grant. We are specifically named as a municipality that can get this type of a grant. And the skate park is in the area which was identified within the borough for its application. So we are going to go after that grant and hopefully be able to redo that skate park. There's going to be a public hearing at the next council meeting, the first one in June. It's already been noticed in the Asbury Park Press, I think Tuesday.
Yes.
But I just wanted to mention it here. Also, we will be doing the Memorial Day Parade. So Step Off will be on the 29th, 11 a.m. at Huddy Park, and we'll go to Vets. And I'm trying to think what else is going on. We've got the town-wide yard sale happening this Saturday, the 22nd, and there are maps over on the table, right over there, as well as all of the addresses. There's going to be a shredding event on June 6th, and then a blood drive on June 14th. You can find 14th, sorry. 14th, June 14th. I was like, I'm reading that properly. And that's from 1 to 6. So if you just get onto the website, there's a little code where you could scan and you can sign up for that. You don't have to sign up for the shredding event. You just come by right here. It's in the skate park parking lot. And it's from, it's 6/6, and that's from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. And I think that's all I've got on announcements. Does anyone else have any announcements? Okay, then I will open it up to the public. Public comments.
If you could just use the podium and just state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Claudette Dorigo, 12 Cedar. I'm looking around the room, and we're missing someone very valuable. 55 years, this woman attended council meetings. I met her 18 years ago, sitting behind her on a bench, watching her attack the council, the fire department, the police department, and everybody and anything. And I thought, this 4'11" Spitfire is amazing. She was 68 years old at the time, 18 years ago. She passed away this year. I look at Tina, I look at Chief, I look at Ricky, I look at Frank and Lori, I look at Tim. It's just mind-blowing that Carol Bucko is not here, and I hope and pray that this town, at some point in time, can wrap itself around doing something dedicated to her. I don't think there's any town in the state of New Jersey that can say they had a woman come to council meetings for 55 years and fight for everything that she believed for this town. Anything. She went up against Ricky. She went up against Frank. She went up against Chief. We all know it. And it just, I came in and I looked around and I said, I can't believe Carol's not here. I just can't. And I hope the council can do something in the future. Some of you don't know her, didn't know her, but every council for 55 years knew this woman. I just hope that something can be done. Tony is no longer in town, and so that saddens me too. I talk to him weekly. He's doing good. He misses his Carol, but this town will never be the same without her. It will not be the same. And for those of you that didn't know her, Michelle, you knew her. I look at this room, and Michelle Pizzullo, you knew her. Everybody knew Carol Bucko. We all knew her. And it's just heartbreaking. 48 hours before she died, she called me and said, make sure you read these questions at the council meeting. Not only did she call me, she called Muriel because she wanted to make sure that if I didn't ask the questions, Muriel Smith would ask the questions. So, you know, I just wanted to get on record that we miss her and that it saddens me to come into a council meeting and not see her here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Skorka, Short Drive. Back in the day, we used to have to sign in for public portion, and If I got there before Carol and I put my name first, oh, was she not happy? Couple of questions. I know over the years we keep bringing up the fee schedule for nonprofits using borough parks and borough assets. Just curious where we stand with that. I mean, we're looking at old antiquated ordinances, but we still, after 4 or 5 years, haven't gotten a fee schedule together. Okay, I'll move on. If we're going to open the roads for the sanitary sewer project, are we going to do the stormwater downtown as well?
That is not part of the project. The storm sewer that would be necessary, which would relieve flooding in the area, is a much, much larger project, probably to the tune of $5 to $10 million. It involved a pump station that we understood borough residents had a real problem with because of the height and the elevation of it. So that is not proposed, never was proposed as part of this project. Now, I understood the concern of the residents. I've spoken to the mayor and council and the administrator about it. We're looking at possible ways to fund that aspect of the project, but it is not part of this project as of yet.
What is the state of our stormwater drainage system? Like, if we open the roads and we find crumbling pipes, what are we going to do? Just pave over them because it's not in the project to fix them? I just saw a Facebook post today. I think they paved one of the roads up the hill and they've already, cut out a hole in it weeks later. So I'm worried that's going to happen down here. We open up the roads, we replace the sanitary, and then all of a sudden we have to rip open a freshly paved road because we have stormwater issues.
If there's any localized storm sewer repairs that need to be made, they'll be made. We have some contingency in the project to handle that. But I just want to make it very clear that it would only be to repair existing inlets. The amount of storm sewer work that would address the concerns that the residents have in that area is very substantial. It involves eliminating the outfalls that go through the bulkheads at this point. It would involve collecting stormwater in very, very large pipes and then piping it to a low point, which would be Jones Creek, and then pumping it out. And even when the borough is in a position to do that, because it has the funding available to create that project, it is only going to address the land side stormwater issues. You're still going to have the tidal issues, which would only be corrected through a major bulkheading project that I don't believe the borough would ever be in a position to do. That would have to be something that's done at more federal level. So this project is a very necessary project that we're doing, the sanitary sewer project, because of the inflow and infiltration that you have through your existing sanitary sewer pipes. And I want the borough to understand, the residents to understand, that there's a huge value to do this because you're currently paying your treatment facility fees to treat stormwater, which is not in anyone's best interest. So that's going to take a significant burden away from the borough residents by getting this project done, which is a $5 million project. $2.5 million is geared toward principal forgiveness. And it's also, you did have to close the Snug Harbor Beach because of the fecal coliforms. That issue should be addressed as a result of this. So while there's a lot of value to it, the borough is not in a position to do the stormwater aspects because the only way to deal with that is to have a pump station that we understood the residents were very concerned.
Thank you. I also want to suggest, sorry, I didn't write down the statute citation here, but there is a way. We have a very large crowd here tonight, and I have a Facebook Live.
I'm sorry, we have a
But
I couldn't hear you.
What's that?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I don't have the statute written. I can get that to you, the right citation. But there is the ability to do both a live in person and also Zoom to the constituents. Like I said, we have a large crowd here. It was much bigger when we were on Zoom, and I believe we can do both. I think a lot of people participated on Zoom because they didn't have to worry about babysitters. They didn't have to worry about whether or not dinner was ready and done by 8 o'clock. They could put their kids to bed. If they had to work from home, they could participate in the meeting still. So I'd like the borough to consider doing a hybrid meeting going forward. I think it's very valuable. As I said, I've got Facebook Live up for Highlands, but I'm not watching it, like, I'm not taking questions from anybody else. But I think it's valuable to have the borough, everybody involved. If that's one thing that can come out of the pandemic, more participation, then that's a good thing. Do we have a status on the JFK EMS shared service agreements?
Sorry, I turned it off. Yes, when we spoke about it a couple meetings back, I believe it was, I had called Atlantic Highlands and Seabright, and there wasn't any interest in joining in now, but they both told me that maybe in the next year they would join in, so I'm keeping that under advisement.
So if there's a call for mutual aid, are we sending JFK to them on our dime? Is that how it's working?
I could check with JFK. I don't know if it has happened. It may have happened, but I can find out.
Okay. We're in a budget crunch here, and with a $10+ million borough hall, and ever rising taxes, it's kind of important that we try and save money where we can. I just want to note that the agenda was not posted until late yesterday, and then the links on the website weren't working correctly. I can only get the agenda. When I tried to click to get the packets, it took me to, it just it switched where the link was. It got fixed eventually because I saw Muriel Smith posting, so I know she got it. I didn't get it, I didn't check until this morning. I'd really like to see the agendas come out earlier, because when we were on Zoom only, written questions had to be in 24 hours before the meeting. Well, if I don't get an agenda till 5, 6 o'clock at night, I don't have time to read it and digest it and get my questions to the council. So perhaps if we could work on getting it out a little earlier. I know a lot of things change last minute. Friday is probably not reasonable. A lot happens over the weekend. Monday evening, Tuesday morning would be great to see the agendas online.
I have to say, I do agree. I think that there are too many very important issues that we're discussing. I mean, look at this evening, right? We had 2 really important issues amongst everything else. And I think people need time to plan and coordinate. People have families, people who really want to be here and express their positions, whether it's for or against. And I really do think it's very, very important that we get the agendas out earlier so
And
that we
I
can.
also want to thank whoever decided to release the ordinances that were up for setting a public hearing date. In the past, there had been an ordinance, it might have been parking, I forget, it was going to a public hearing date, and I said, well, can I see the ordinance? And I was told, no, it's not released until the public hearing date is set. And I said, well, that's so weird, but okay, it's not being voted, like, it's not passing tonight, that's fine. I won't argue. But to see those, there's 7 ordinances. That's a lot to digest, in a short amount of time. So I'm glad that they're actually now being released when they're setting a public hearing date. I think that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief, it's getting late, I know, guys. Frank Nolan, 65 Snug Harbor. The 3 ordinances pertaining to the cannabis. It's legal in the state. I don't have a problem with it being sold in the state and anything where you're doing it legally and appropriately. I don't think it's appropriate to have it, though, amongst our residents. And unfortunately, we're in a situation in the town where our business district is surrounded by residents. If you want to do it on the highway, something like that, I think we're going down the same road we did, if those of you who remember, a couple of years ago with the detox center. That was going to be on Bay Avenue also. The only questions I have, is why did we limit it to just one potential licensee? Is there a formula for that regulated by the state? I don't know that. And then the fees. It seems to me if they're going to be a big profitable business, and it sounds like they are in a lot of places, we should probably charge more than $1,500 and $750 a year to renew. I would put it in the thousands, personally, if it's going to be something you're going to do. Because it seems like there's going to be a lot of takers, and is there a formula that you had to do to make it one licensee?
Just I understand that the public hearing is July 14th, but the state legislation that was signed into law, Federal Code Section 21, gave municipalities 180 days to adopt or enact a zoning ordinance addressing cannabis regulation. Regardless of what the determination is, if they don't take action and that deadline will be August 21st, then all such uses will be permitted in either the industrial zone or maybe conditional use in the commercial retail zone. So municipalities have to take action and adopt it by August 21st. With respect to the formula, they left that up to the town to determine location, matter, times, number of licenses, fees. There is a cannabis task force that was created by the state. They haven't given guidance yet. And then the maximum tax rate that they can impose is 2%.
Okay, so there's guidelines, right, okay. And can I say one thing also? We also lost another, many important people, but Nina Flannery, who was, those of you that don't know, she held many positions in the town for a long time. She was a borough administrator, she was a borough clerk, and kind of did anything that we needed in many times. And I could tell you, as a new councilman coming in many, many years ago, and you really don't know what you're going to do on, what you know what you were elected for, but you really don't know what to do. She nursed a lot of us through the first few months of everything, and there is a celebration of life for her on June 13th in Huddy Park. I believe it starts at 1 o'clock, and that's a Sunday. So I wouldn't want to not go by without mentioning that, and she did a lot for the town and was involved in a lot of volunteer things also. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tina Kemmerer, 164 Linden Avenue. It's really great to be here in person, so I'm happy to be here. I know everybody's doing these things, but, I do miss Carol as well, and I do appreciate people coming up and talking about her, and maybe a plaque or some kind of recognition, maybe a tree, plaque, bench or something, but it's been a bad year. It's been a sad year. I also would like to thank Councilwoman Mazzola for speaking up about the cannabis establishment ordinance, very eloquently said. And I think many other constituents are looking forward to the public hearing on July 14th. And I hope, it's going to be a very robust public hearing from all sides. On to more mundane issues that are part of my life. I hope that you'll consider this past year I have seen at least, I'm sure you all have, the recyclable issue, and I brought this up via Zoom a couple of months ago, has really kind of taken a hit. My condo complex has seen tremendous volume of cardboard and plastics and so on. And it's not a matter of getting a box cutter and flattening things and squeezing them into your bin. It is a matter of volume. And it's just not cutting it, so to speak, when the pickup is every 2 weeks. And if it's a 5-week month, we get an extra week of garbage stuffed and raccoons and everything is coming out. So I'm wondering if there's any way to consider having increased pickup via garbage and recyclables, because it's going to be here to stay. People are working from home. People are getting food deliveries and, FedEx and UPS and all that stuff. So please consider this in the budget, is that we have an increase, and it's going to be here. And lastly, since I live on Linden Avenue, that sign that's up, entering the Welcome to Highlands, the canvas sign, I'm fine with that. I think it looks really nice. I wouldn't pay to get a big fancy wooden thing. It kind of looks like a sail, and it looks pretty durable to me. So I was a little flabbergasted about the cost of that. So I am not for getting a brand new sign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any, I should say, I think we're good here. Did a close public portion? Does anyone from the table have anything they'd like to add before a motion to adjourn? Okay, motion to adjourn. Aye.
The same part